From the New York Post, Dan Bongino to leave the FBI deputy director job with rumored replacement waiting in the wings. FBI Director Dan Bongino will resign his position with less than a year on the job after reportedly packing up his belongings and bidding adieu to his team. I will be leaving my position with the FBI in January, Bongino announced on social media Wednesday night. I want to thank President Trump, AG Bondi, and Director Patel for the opportunity to serve with purpose. Most importantly, I want to thank you, my fellow Americans, for the privilege to serve you. God bless America and all those who defend her. The announcement caps a day of speculation on when Bongino would leave, with 4 sources telling the Post that Bongino's departure was expected soon. So I actually made a remark about this last night. I didn't think he was going to do it, but I got that one wrong. So full accountability here. But what do you guys think? Do you think that this is going to be a significant hindrance for the FBI or what?
It could be a hindrance, but let me just start with Dan Bongino. This is a guy who spread, stories and conspiracy theories. The Epstein files is something that he talked about in his podcast pretty much every single day. And now all of a sudden there's nothing to see. Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. And I think the rumors of him getting into it with Bondi were absolutely true. He knows exactly what's in the Epstein files now, and I think a lot of his listeners are probably pretty upset at him. So he was spewing this stuff every single day.
So the way that you say that makes me think that you have a disagreement. Do you think that there's something in the Epstein files?
100%.
So what do you go ahead and elaborate on that?
Well, why do you think Donald Trump doesn't want to talk about it? If anybody, even his supporters, bring up the Epstein files, he calls them stupid. Clearly, he has something to hide. It's the same reason why he didn't want to release his tax returns. It's the same reason why they're not releasing his medical records from the MRI. The reason why he doesn't want to talk about this stuff or release it publicly is because he has something to hide. Donald Trump was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. According to Jeffrey Epstein, they're seen all over the place, hanging out with each other. We know that he was on the Epstein flight log at least 7 times. And then Jack Posobiec and others, to no fault of their own, by the way, were holding these binders up because of Pam Bondi, who claimed that it was on her desk. I believe Dan Bongino knows the truth. And let me ask you guys a question.
So before we do, would you want to venture a guess as to what it is that's in there that you think Donald Trump is hiding?
I don't know if he broke the law, but certainly he's in the Epstein files.
You sound pretty passionate about it.
Well, I am passionate about young children that get raped.
So then are you implying that Donald Trump did that?
What I am implying is that Donald Trump is all over the Epstein files, and so many of his supporters were talking about the rich elitist in Hollywood and all the lefty pedophiles. Fine, so be it. If Bill Clinton is in there, that's totally fine. But the difference between Republicans and Democrats, many of them today, is most Democrats say, hey, if Bill Clinton's in there, if there are Democrats in there, fine. Release the files. And Donald Trump wants this story to go away. Guess what? It's not going away. We'll see what happens on Friday. But yes, I think Donald Trump is all over the files.
So again, saying all over the files.
His name is all over in the files.
But saying that, I mean, it sounds like you're implying something. Do you have an opinion as to what it is he's done?
I don't know whether he broke the law or not. My opinion goes the same as I just said. There's a reason why he doesn't want the files released. Clearly, he doesn't.
So you don't think that you don't think that the Biden administration would have taken a look at these and said something if there was something in there when they were in
a couple things I'd say there. First of all, number one, if Joe Biden did do that, he would be equally was wrong. Now, I don't think Joe Biden was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
No. I mean, if Joe Biden Joe Biden's DOJ had the paperwork, right? If the Trump administration has it, then that means that the Biden administration had it as well.
Absolutely.
So you don't think that if there was something that Donald Trump had done that was illegal, you don't think they would have put it out?
I think there is certainly a possibility, and I don't know this to be true or not, that maybe they were protecting lefties that are in there as well. That could be very possible. I also can tell you that the Maxwell trial was going on during that, and they were sealed for years.
All 4 years.
I agree. The portion of it was sealed. See, I worry about today, and yes, I wish the files were released a very long time ago. I don't care whether they're Democrats or Republicans in there. The problem is Joe Biden didn't campaign on the Epstein files. His supporters weren't talking about that.
Well, Donald Trump actually didn't campaign on the Epstein.
His followers were.
His followers are not him.
Look at what Pam Bondi.
So no, but you said that he campaigned on these.
Well,
and he didn't campaign on them. His followers are not him. So he didn't campaign on this. In fact, the only time that I recall it being mentioned, he walked it back.
So why do you think he walked it back? And why do you? Let me ask you a question. Why are they treating Maxwell VIP service, unprecedented, 20-year sentence? Why are they giving one of the biggest sex traffickers in this country preferential treatment, a dog? They let visitors eat snacks. They give them a laptop.
So I don't
why
know.
is that?
I don't know
Give
why.
me a logical reason.
I don't know why. But
I know
I'm not
why,
the
I
one.
think.
Well, I don't
You
know
can't come up
why.
with one logical reason why Maxwell has been treated by the Trump administration the way she
Like I
has?
said, I don't know why, but the fact of the matter is, I'm not the one that's emotive about this and throwing around accusations.
Hold on.
Hold on. No, you can't be like, I'm not the one. that's-
Absolutely, I
Just
can.
What
I'm
do you
not-
think?
I
what
mean,
do you
we're
think
talking
is
about this.
happening over there with Ghislaine
I have
Maxwell?
no idea
Just
what's
I don't
going on.
believe you.
An educated assumption.
I have no idea
You
why.
can't give us an educated guess on why
I
you
don't
think
know
they're treating
any-
Maxwell with...
I didn't know any.
Can I give you my hypothesis on that?
Sure, you're more than welcome to.
Maybe they're giving her preferential treatment. By the way, unprecedented preferential treatment. Maybe because they're protecting Donald Trump. I think that's the only logical conclusion that most people would come up with. Why else would they do this? I've heard...
Well, I mean, so there's talk about the possibility that Donald Trump worked with the FBI, so maybe they would be protecting the FBI.
Okay, well, I haven't heard that, but...
Yeah, some people think that
yeah.
Donald Trump flipped on Epstein and became an informant for the FBI.
But think about
So
this.
if that's the case, then they're just protecting sources.
They've treated
and methods.
Maxwell like a VIP. Donald Trump doesn't want anybody to talk about it. In fact, if a reporter even brings it up, he will call that reporter names.
Well, he's talked about it multiple times. He said that he wants to see the files released, and there's been judges that have inhibited
First of all,
that.
if he wanted the files released, he wouldn't need a judge to sign off on it. Tomorrow, he could release the files if he wanted to. So that's complete BS.
He's called for the AG to do it, right? Has he not?
He could just simply release the files tomorrow if he wanted to, without a judge's decision, legally. If he wanted to release all the files and redact all the
He
victims' names,
specifically said that he wanted them.
Then
to.
why won't he do it then?
As far as I understand, he said that he he doesn't.
What he says and what he does.
I assume that he doesn't have the files on his desk.
you believe him
himself.
when he says things like that?
I don't know. I think that Donald Trump. I think that he's probably trying to protect himself because his name is in there. But I don't think that he's done anything. But I'm not emotive about it because I don't think that he's done anything illegal.
Hey, what do you talked about Bongino earlier? I think, and you mentioned like Trump's kind of administration choices had campaigned or talked about the Epstein as part of their messaging.
Epstein talked about it a lot when he had his podcast.
Bongino,
Yeah.
Bongino, yeah.
Yeah,
and
like
you
every day.
mentioned you mentioned how angry his audience has become, and I think
Yeah.
you're right because he's been in the government with like this gag system.
Do you
in
remember
place.
he wouldn't go to work? Do you remember that day, you guys, when he took a day off and they had, apparently him, Pam Bondi, and Kash Patel got into it, and then he didn't show up the next day? Look, here's what it comes down to. Kash Patel, under oath, was asked 7 times by Eric Swalwell, did you tell Pam Bondi that Trump is in the Epstein files? He would not answer the question. If he wasn't in the files, Kash Patel would have answered that question. It doesn't take a smart person to realize that he didn't want to answer it because the answer is yes.
But being in the files might make him more of a hero if he turned on Epstein and aided the FBI, and it would uncover a bunch of other FBI like undercover that are breaking child pedophilia.
And also the question about what is in the files. There's a lot of people that that have different ideas about what the Epstein files even are.
Mm-hmm.
So like if there's the question about what is it, just the plane logs, because obviously everyone knows Donald Trump was in that, right? He's used Epstein's plane. I don't know that he's gone to the island, right?
No, I don't know that either. But listen, he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a long time. Allegedly, he was upset because Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, that was 20 years. It was over 20 years ago that he booted him out of the.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care if it
club.
was 20 years ago or 50 years ago. I think you are who you hang out with sometimes. And in this situation, well, listen, we all know that Donald Trump is a pig. That's not against the law. We all know he bragged about grabbing women by the genitals. We all know that he's a womanizer who had unprotected sex with a porn star 2 weeks after Barron was born. We know that's not against the law. But this is at another level here, and I'll tell you some people that.
Well, no, if you're saying that that's not against the law, and then you're saying that it's at another level, you're implying that he's broken the law.
I don't know if he broke the law or not. What I do know is he's hiding something.
You've said that you've said multiple times. I don't know that he has, but yet you're continuing to imply that he has.
I'm implying that he has a lot to hide, and this would make him look very bad because he was a very good friend and probably did some awful things. Now, awful doesn't necessarily mean breaking the law, but the way they've treated Maxwell, the fact that if any of his supporters even bring it up, he calls them stupid because he knows this makes him look bad. Now, he might have broken the law. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Release the files. Release the files, and then we can stop talking about it. If Bill Clinton is in there and he did some horrible things, I will call him out just like I will call out Donald Trump. It is the fundamental difference between Republicans and Democrats today.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Name me one Democrat that doesn't want the files to be released right now.
I don't know. I
Because
don't
you
know
couldn't
off-
name one because every single one of them has voted to release the files. It's the Republicans that don't want the files
whoever's
released.
in
the
power
Republicans,
that
if the
doesn't wanna
Democrats
release the
wanted the
file.
files out, they could have released them when the Biden
But then why do they
administration
want it out now then?
I don't know, but like I
Okay.
said, if they
I'm-
actually
because
wanted
it's
it,
politically expedient for Democrats
Yeah.
to be supporting the release now.
Would it
when
be
wasn't.
expedient if Bill Clinton was in there and if Democrats were in there?
well,
Would
Bill
that?
Clinton's not in even
If,
in the
and
could be.
also,
I
if,
don't
also
know.
if like the most important man in the world was like banging kids, that would have been scrubbed from the FBI database years ago. I mean,
Well-
like, this is all like a moot point. And also with the Ghislaine Maxwell getting preferential
Mm-hmm.
treatment, I mean, she's cooperating with the DOJ. This is not unprecedented for a high-profile sex offender to get.
The way she's been treated, yes, it is. According to
Yes.
the warden and other people that have spoken on the record.
The BOP themselves have said this is not unprecedented. Her lawyers are arguing that it's politically motivated. And then also, Jeffrey Epstein in 2008 got a very luxurious plea deal as well. So it's not like this is a new thing. This is under the eyes
If you could,
of the
if
Trump
you could name me
administration.
someone who's been sentenced to 20 years for child sex trafficking, who is allowed a dog, who gets food deliveries to her, and is allowed security to work out anytime she wants, guests are allowed getting snacks. If you could name me someone that has been sentenced to 20 years for the crimes that she was found guilty of, then I'm all open ears. But this is unprecedented, and there's a reason why the Trump administration is doing this again, because Donald Trump is hiding something, and
But
they're
the,
protecting
but the
him.
reason why we're saying that this is unprecedented is because we can't name any other, because this is the highest profile sex
Exactly.
crime case
That's
in
my
American
point,
history.
yes.
And that's why it's like, okay, yeah, when you're that high profile, there's going to be a different way of handling things within in the prison system. And then also the DOJ, you're cooperating with the DOJ, you're going to get us answers. It's like, yeah, that's just how this works.
George Santos was treated 20 times worse
Yes.
than Maxwell is being treated. There's something wrong with this.
I feel like
it's wrong.
I feel like she offered them information that they were looking for to piece together some things.
I don't believe that at all.
Well, I'm trying
don't
to figure out
believe that
why
at all.
they would do it other than that.
I've given you my reasons. I think it's pretty obvious.
But what would
They're protecting Donald Trump.
But what would they have gotten
They
from
wanted
it?
Maxwell.
You've
What would they have
danced
gotten
around the
from
issue,
her?
but you won't actually come out and say it. You
What?
you
I'll
assume
ask-
that Donald Trump has done something wrong,
I'll ask, what-
as in broken the law.
Wrong doesn't necessarily mean against the law. Now,
No,
I
but
do
again,
think Donald Trump is a criminal, but maybe not for
But
this.
my question, Brian, is what do you think they got from Ghislaine?
Well, on the record in the interview, she said she never saw Donald Trump doing any improprieties or doing anything wrong. Maxwell is smart enough to understand that she needs to say nice things about Donald Trump. That's why she is in the position she's in now, where she's in a Club Med facility. She's allowed to play tennis. She's allowed to work out in the middle of the night with security. She's allowed a puppy dog. Okay, someone that has pled, regardless of what your opinions are on Donald Trump or not, I think we all could agree. If you've done the crimes that Maxwell's done, she doesn't deserve this kind of preferential treatment. And by the way, any of the people in that jail who are talked to her even or have said anything negative about her, they get enormous penalties for that. They are protecting her. They are being pressured by the Trump administration. It is absolutely obvious, and there's a reason for that. Again, I don't know whether he committed any crimes, but I do know that it is to his benefit to be treating her this way, and that's my opinion.
It could be a honeypot, and they're like, we can't blow the lid off the honeypot. We got too many global pedophiles on the hook right now.
Well, I mean, that's why like Trump himself said we can release the Epstein files, but there's so many moving parts here. Again, if this truly is like an international clandestine operation, it's going to take a while to like really
listen,
unpack this thing.
again, I repeat what I said earlier. If he wanted to release the files tomorrow without a court order, without Congress, without any politician, he has the power to do so with redacting
but
all the victims' names. He can
Hasn't-
do that tomorrow if he
hasn't
wanted
the
to.
But hasn't the release been prevented by a judge?
No,
That's my understanding.
so the reason why, so if you remember, Pam Bondi a few weeks back said that she was opening up a new investigation. Legally, the only way that the Trump administration cannot release the files, 100% of the files, is because of that convenient investigation that was just opened several weeks ago. But yes, Donald Trump does have the power in general to do so, to release all the
Like
files.
I said, I thought that a judge blocked it.
So
If a
that
judge
was
blocks
so,
it,
so,
then,
so that
you
was,
know.
I believe, 2% of the files that you are referring to, where a judge did block that. But
So a judge did block it then.
But Donald Trump has the ability to release all the files. You can look that up legally. He has the ability to do so. And listen, I want justice for the victims. This is where I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is where I agree with Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace. I am certainly not fans of any of them. But I am with them on this. They're right on this. They've met with the victims. Let's have justice for the victims. This isn't, for me, just about Donald Trump. I would say this for any victim of sexual assault. I want these SOBs, brought to justice, and at least their reputations deserve to be tarnished. Whether that's Donald Trump or Bill Clinton, I don't care. I want the files released. I've always wanted the files released. I said this years ago. I was very happy when Maxwell was finally sentenced. I've interviewed, Epstein's brother multiple times. I mean, we don't have to get into that. But, Jeffrey Epstein's brother has some very interesting opinions on what he thinks happened to his brother. Going back to Dan Bongino, because I think this is where all this started. I think Dan Bongino is a clown. He pretty much admitted that I was paid to say these things, meaning, I was paid to say BS. That's basically what he said a few weeks ago.
Can you unbox that?
What's that?
Can you unbox that?
Well, yeah. Bongino was asked about the Epstein files, and I believe he was asked specifically about some other conspiracy theories that he used to bring up on his podcast. He did an interview a few weeks ago. I don't recall exactly who it was with. And he said, listen, it's my job now to tell the truth. That's what he said. I'm working for the FBI. It's my job to tell the truth. But back then, I was getting paid for my opinions. So what that means to me is I was getting paid to spew conspiracy theories with no factual basis behind it, whether it be about the Epstein files. There was a lot he talked about January 6th a lot. He talked about, what about the bomber on January 6th? And he talked about how it was a lefty liberal and it was Antifa, when this was the guy who's already told the FBI that a big part or reason why he was there is because he believed that the election was stolen. Geez, I wonder where he got that from. But where did he get that information from? Where did he get that from?
The just saying that his like he was getting paid for his ideas before and now he's not because he's in the government doesn't mean that his ideas necessarily were all conspiracy. Like he might have said a few things that without maybe vetted evidence, or maybe some things that turned out that the evidence wasn't true, or maybe without evidence. I don't know. Maybe, and then you cited a few things that could have some validity.
He spewed conspiracies about the 2020 election. He spewed conspiracies about the bomber on January 6th. He spewed conspiracies about Epstein, none of which were true. And now he can't do that because he's right. He's working for the FBI. That's what a lot of these people do. They say things on the air that are not true.
But maybe none of which have
now
been
that he's working
proven
for the
true.
FBI, do you believe that when he said that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, do you believe that he's lying then?
Well, I will say this. If that is true.
Do you believe that, though? Because, before you said you didn't believe him. He was paid to spew lies when he was an opinion.
Well, I don't know what his
now that he's in the FBI, he has to tell the truth.
I don't know what his opinion was on Jeffrey Epstein, whether Jeffrey Epstein murdered himself or not. I'm just unaware of that. Here's what we do know. There's a minute or two of the video that they have not released. Jeffrey Epstein's brother believes that his brother was killed by somebody. Now, I don't know that for sure.
But I'm asking you about Dan Bongino.
I don't know what his opinion was on it when he was a podcaster.
But do you believe now that he's telling the truth when he says that actually Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? Because before you said he was spewing lies, but now
conspiracy
he has
theories.
To tell the truth. So do you think that he's telling the truth? Do you think that he's lying now? Or?
Well, conspiracy theory could be true.
In regards to Jeffrey Epstein,
before, though.
So in regards to Jeffrey Epstein, whether he killed himself or not, the truth of the matter is that I really don't know.
Do you think that Bongino knows and is telling the truth
about
Jeffrey
the
Epstein
murder? I don't know. I really don't know.
Because you
I do find it weird that a minute or two of the video isn't there. Would you guys find that a little strange?
Extremely.
I'm not saying everything.
The point that I'm making is you said that now he has to tell the truth.
Well,
now
I'm sure we all could agree that the FBI hasn't always told the truth. Our DOJ hasn't always told the truth.
His job is to lie to us about the right things according to national secrecy, and he will maybe even say, I'm telling you the truth while he's lying.
It's very simple. There's a minute or two that's missing from the video. There were a lot of weird things that happened that day. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that.
Do you think Jeffrey Epstein was murdered then?
I don't know.
This is.
I think there's a lot of strange things that happened. I truly don't know. Here's what's weird. When I was interviewing Jeffrey Epstein's brother, he had a parole date, I think a few days later. Okay. We all know that Jeffrey Epstein had boatloads of money. Now, I'm not saying he would have gotten out on not parole. I'm using the wrong verbiage here, but he had a hearing where maybe he could be on house arrest or something. Why would he have killed himself a few days before that hearing? His brother made that point, which I find to be very interesting. And again, a minute of the video is missing as well. So I do think that's a little strange as well. I don't know. The fact of the matter is I don't know. I don't know what happened. What I do know is that Bongino has spread a lot of conspiracy theories. I'm not saying everything he said on his podcast is a lie. I'm sure he gets it right once in a while, but it makes him look really bad. As you agreed, he talked about the Epstein files almost every day on his podcast. He had all those people looking like fools with the binders out there. I blame Pam Bondi for that one. And then all of a sudden, Donald Trump doesn't want to talk about it. It makes Dan Bongino look really bad.
Well, I don't think Trump doesn't want to talk about it. He was exhausted by the constant like chimping from our side. And then he's like, fine, okay, we'll release the files. And then Congress passed a bipartisan bill to release the files. I mean, the
he
timeline.
called all of his supporters stupid for bringing it up.
That's how Trump has always spoken like that. This is not a like particular example of him like lashing out. I mean, this is pretty consistent with how Donald Trump communicates. He
Calling all of his supporters stupid?
Calling anyone that disagrees with him stupid.
Yes.
Can you give me
all.
any other time in his presidency where he called literally all of his supporters stupid for bringing something up?
I don't think that he actually specifically said all of his supporters. He's
Anybody,
talking about the people that were
anybody
talking
who
about
brings it up
the
is
Epstein
stupid.
files.
He
Yes,
said anybody who
that's-
brings it up is stupid.
so
guess,
that's not
guess
all of
which
his
party
supporters.
has been bringing it up the last couple of years a little bit more?
The Democrats. Democrats, since Donald Trump got into office, the Democrats have been using this as a political
Yes, from
point.
Trump's perspective,
both,
this
right.
is a
Both
left
parties have
wing attack on his presidency.
The
That's why.
MAGA Republicans have been talking about this far more.
There's
Now,
a
I
hand-
agree
Trump's,
with
not,
you.
but Trump's tuning into Fox News. That's where he thinks
Yeah.
the base is. He's not tuning into like Rumble. Like on Fox News, they're not really concerned. They're talking about the economy, the day-to-day political affairs. They're not like doing deep dives into
Well, I don't
the
think,
Epstein affair.
I mean, I don't think Dan Bongino has any credibility at all. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think Kash Patel does either. I thought Kash Patel would be the first one to be outed.
I mean, I think we can all guess that what your opinions are about people in the administration. I
Wait,
think it's pretty clear.
let me-
Yeah.
But
Let me talk about Dan a little because I think he served as Secret Service, so there's some credibility for his life. He's wants to help. I mean, just because something is a conspiracy theory doesn't mean that it's not true, and just because you haven't found the evidence to prove it doesn't mean it's not true. Just that you don't have it's an unproven theory.
Well, the
And I think that-
2020
let me-
election is unproven, but he still thinks that Donald Trump.
Is your
Last thing I'll say about Dan, I think earlier I said his audience is angry with him because he's been shut up there, but I think he wants to come back and please. He wants to
Oh, I'm
tell
sure
the
he will.
truth
And
to his
I'm
audience
sure he will.
in a
Look,
way that he can't do when he's in the government.
you know, and to Tate's point, like this is something that we talked about on the show. That there is a narrow group of people that feel very strongly about this, right? They're very, very animated. They care very deeply about the Epstein stuff, but that isn't the broad Republican Party overall. Most people care about kitchen table issues. They care about the economy. They care about if they're going to be able to pay their kids' bills.
They care
pay
about
their bills.
healthcare.
Well, I mean, some do. Most people, actually, most
That's a kitchen table issue.
most Americans get their
Right.
health care from their employer still, right? Most Americans do. So for most Americans, that's actually not something they worry about.
Oh,
The people that don't have health care, health insurance, obviously they do. But that's not neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, Donald Trump, when he's talking, like Tate was saying, when he's talking about people that you know, when he insults the people that are bringing up Epstein, he is actually insulting a narrow, committed, and very animated group of people. He's not talking about his
There are
base.
still a lot of Republicans that are very disappointed in Donald Trump because the Epstein files have not been released. There are a lot of people that
again,
thought,
this is honestly a lot of people that are very animated, but it's not a lot when you consider how many people voted for Donald Trump and how many people actually support the president.
yeah, I
think
mean, after the
why are his
infamous
approval ratings in the 30s then?
well, after
because of the economy.
yeah, and after
That's a
the
kitchen
and after the
table issue.
infamous like blow up that you're talking about, I mean, his approval rating didn't budge. So it's like if that were the case, there's really this large group of Republicans that like their main issue was the Epstein files. They would have defected right away. And then on the opposite end, candidates that we've seen over the years that
I
really
disagree.
That really well, there's I mean, it's
The reason why I disagree is Donald Trump was the guy that talked about grabbing women by the genitals. Donald Trump is the guy that
he still got
That's-
elected
that's
twice
my
after
point.
that.
That's
No
my
one
point.
cared.
You're making my point for
No
me.
one cared.
You're making my point for me. So I don't think the Epstein. Listen. You guys are going to disagree with what I'm about to say, and it might be a little
Shocker.
controversial, but I believe Donald Trump could sodomize a child on video, and a portion of his base would still support him. That's why I call it a cult. It
That's
is
just
a cult.
Not the case. But you're comparing something completely separately as like, look, the morality of Donald Trump was what was up for vote in the primaries of 2016. That was sidestep.
I don't think a lot of Trump supporters care about morals. If they did, they wouldn't have voted for him.
So I mean,
It's not the case. Again, it's like this is like they're not voting for a priest; they're voting for a president. I mean, we've had morally compromised presidents throughout history. This is just the way things operate.
Name
Trump
me in our lifetime a president that has done some of the repugnant, just the stuff about that he said about.
allegedly Bill
Clinton,
Well, okay, Bill Clinton.
John F. Kennedy.
Allegedly, yeah.
So
So
there's
allegedly
like a lot of
JFK, like
Okay, so
that's just what
and
we
then
know
there's
about
presidents
before.
that committed like war crimes. I mean,
Yeah,
George
I mean,
W. Bush. That's much
Sure.
more reprehensible than like
So Bill
killing a
Clinton,
Playboy.
I would not vote for because I do believe he's done some.
No one's
Well, I don't
asking
care what
you
you
to
voted
vote for
for.
him.
You were saying who is as
But-
morally repugnant as like
You
Donald
think-
Trump's
And you'd
personal
vote for Bill
affairs.
Clinton over Donald Trump.
100%.
Yeah, so,
because
I mean,
don't
it's
think
not really-
I don't think after a couple is murdered, Bill Clinton the next day would trash those people. That's exactly what Donald Trump did the other
Bill
day.
Clinton's alleged to, he's an alleged rapist, just like Donald Trump is an alleged rapist.
Sure,
So,
but I still
like,
believe
the idea that-
Bill Clinton is a better leader than Donald Trump.
But you've moved the
this is a
goalpost.
moral
You've just moved the
conversation
goalpost.
you
You were
made,
saying,
too.
you've moved the goalpost. You're saying name one president. We name like 3, and then you're like, well,
in
but
our
what
lifetime-
about like how he handled Reiner? And it's like, what? That's not at all.
Okay, so Bill Clinton is accused of sexual abuse, right?
Yes.
He was
Rape.
never found liable
Yeah.
in a court of law the way Donald Trump was. Okay, so that's number one. Those are allegations. Now Donald Trump did cheat on Hillary Clinton. Yes, he did do that, and that was stupid, and that was horrible, and that was morally wrong. I completely
Joe
agree.
Biden's alleged to have gone into the shower with his daughter.
There is a page in the diary that has not been confirmed.
Alleged.
It was in, and you're comparing a page in a diary where his daughter allegedly said, borderline inappropriate. It is not borderline inappropriate to digitally use your fingers in a dressing room the way Donald Trump did, and a jury of his peers found that he penetrated her, and the judge characterized it as
but again,
rape.
you're splitting hairs because we're talking about Bill Clinton, who's alleged to actually have raped someone and who's
But
done
you mentioned
something.
Joe Biden, and I think morally you're
The
comparing
point that
apples
we're
to
making,
oranges.
no, the point that we're making is it is not as if Donald Trump is some uniquely bad president or morally compromised person.
I think he is.
as opposed to other presidents in the past.
I think he is.
Well, I mean,
100%.
I want to make a clarification about
obviously you
leadership
think
because
so.
I think Trump has like a maybe arguably has a lower leadership score as a character because he's causing so much division in society than Bill Clinton. But that doesn't mean he hasn't done better things as a leader. Even with the lower score, you can accomplish greater stuff.
Can you name me a former president that's ever attacked a POW for being captured?
This is just like whataboutism.
No, it's the things that
Well,
Donald Trump
I don't know.
said
They were
and why
bombing
he's
in Cambodia.
morally
There were
worse
probably
than any other president in my
POWs.
lifetime.
I mean, you want to talk about literally
again,
attacking POWs, dudes issuing
attacking
drone bombs.
POWs, women of color,
dudes
attacking women on
attacking
looks. I can
drone.
go on and on.
I mean, I can
attacking
go on
women
and
on
on.
looks.
Mexicans are
Attraction with
rapists,
women of
but I
color
suppose
stuff.
some of them are good people.
Yeah, they killed a lot of our own POWs in Vietnam. They issued a lot of drone bombing campaigns.
I-
Trump hasn't done stuff like that. He has some value. And
He dodged the military multiple times. He did do that.
what he's doing is he's helping us not become part of this banking order. He's trying to slow it down. That's Clinton wasn't.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.